Just found out my best friend has been secretly dating my ex for months. I'm still reeling from all that's happened. Cassie and I shared 5 beautiful years together. We started our relationship back in high school, and it continued right through college. After graduation, we took that big step of moving in together. I've been head over heels in love with her since way before our very first date. She's truly an amazing person, and even now, I can't deny that. We were actually talking about getting married and starting our own family in the near future. But then, a few months ago, Cassie said she wanted to have a serious talk. She sat me down, and what she told me felt like a punch to the gut. She said she decided that she didn't want kids, and not just not right away, but never. She went on and on about overpopulation, climate change, and all those reasons, but all I could feel was this overwhelming sadness. You see, having kids was always a dream of mine. My own dad was a terrible person, and ever since I was a kid myself, being a dad was something I'd looked forward to, something I wanted to do right. When she finished talking, I knew in my heart that it was over between us. We both ended up in tears, but what else could I do? If we didn't have the same vision for our future, how could we go on? She said she'd been thinking this way for years, and that the pandemic was just the final push for her to be certain. I couldn't just wait around, hoping she might change her mind when there was no guarantee she would. So, I moved out and went to live with my best friend, Ryan. We've been friends for as long as I can remember. We bonded over Pokemon cards on the playground when we were just little kids. He's like a brother to me, and his mom has always been like a second mom to me, especially since I didn't have much of a real family life growing up. I was in such a rush to leave that I didn't take a lot of my stuff with me. And after that, I just couldn't bring myself to go back to the apartment and face Cassie. That's when Ryan stepped up and said he'd go get my things for me whenever I needed them. At least, that's what I thought he was doing. Yesterday was supposed to be our 6th anniversary, and it was just a really tough day for me. I told Ryan I didn't want to be alone, that I wanted to hang out and play games with him all day. He agreed, but he was constantly distracted by his phone. And then, after a couple of hours, he just said something came up and left me all by myself. It was so hard. I'm not afraid to admit that I cried. I had my reasons for not wanting to be alone on that day. Almost midnight last night, Ryan finally came home, and he was acting really strange. I asked him what was going on, thinking maybe his mom was sick or something, since she's a teacher at a school that just reopened. But no. Ryan sat me down and dropped another bombshell on me. He told me he was moving out. Turns out he'd been secretly dating Cassie since just a few weeks after we broke up. He said they were already in love and that she needed him more than I did. So he was moving into the apartment with her and leaving me here, all alone and feeling so lost. I didn't even know how to begin to process this. I couldn't tell which one of them had hurt me more. To make things even worse, this morning I messaged some of our other friends to tell them what had happened, and they already knew. When I got upset about it, they all just said it was no big deal because I was the one who broke up with Cassie. I felt so alone. I didn't know who I could turn to. My friends seemed to be on their side. My ex had broken my heart, and my best friend had just stomped all over it. The people who felt like family to me were gone because they were his family too. I was just so lost. I wasn't sure if I should post an update about all this or not. It's been a few weeks, and a lot has happened. When I first posted, though, I got so many horrible comments. People were saying I was a worthless piece of shit, that I should beat up my ex-girlfriend, or that I was probably some kind of horrible abuser who hated her and wanted to control her body. It was awful. But I also got a ton of love and support. People sent me private messages offering help with housing and other things. Still, being in such a dark and desperate place already, those mean comments really cut deep. I had to take some time away, not just to sort myself out, but also to avoid all that negativity, because it was really holding me back from moving forward. If anyone's reading this while going through something similar and wondering if they should share their story, my advice is don't. Wait until you've had some time to heal and get some distance, or it'll just make things worse. One thing I want to make clear here, because some people really jump to conclusions based on what I wrote. I don't hate Cassie. I don't think she shouldn't move on. I don't blame her for dating someone else after I broke up with her. I do still have a lot of anger, but it's all directed at Ryan. He's the one who lied to me and betrayed me behind my back, not Cassie. I've always thought Cassie was an awesome person, and I still do. We just wanted different things for our future. That's all. Now, let me tell you about the updates. Shortly after I made that post, Ryan texted me. He said he'd planned to give me a month to find another place to live, but since I couldn't be happy for them, he wanted me out by Friday. Looking back on it now, I think this was probably his plan all along. The apartment I lived in with Cassie was owned by her parents, so we just paid the bills, not rent. Ryan's apartment was expensive, and his parents were still helping him with some of the bills there. I suspect he was looking for an excuse to break his lease and move into that free rent place instead. But luckily, I have a place to live now. In a strange way, Reddit ended up helping me out. A couple of days after I posted, this guy TJ reached out to me on Facebook. Hey TJ. He sent me the link to my post and asked if it was me. TJ and I weren't really close friends before all this, but he recognized some of the details. After some back and forth, I found out that Ryan had lied to all our mutual friends about the situation. Apparently, he hooked up with Cassie for the first time just about a week after we split up. He asked some of our friends what he should do, and they all told him to make sure I was okay with it first. But then he told them he'd talk to me and that I was happy for him. So, when I found out and got upset a couple of months later, our friends all thought I was going crazy for no reason, when in fact I just learned the truth. Once they found out what really happened, I got a lot of apology texts. I've accepted some of them, but others I'm still ignoring. A couple of guys offered to let me stay with them or help me move, and I ended up staying with TJ for a while, just until I could find a more permanent place. I've learned my lesson about living in places where my name isn't on the lease. I found a roommate through Craigslist who was also looking for a place, and we signed the lease last week. I'm moving out of TJ's place this weekend. Ryan is completely out of my life now. I might have left some of my stuff at his place or Cassie's, but it doesn't matter. I can always get new things. I can make new friends too. More than anything, this whole situation has made me realize how important it is to have stable, independent housing and not rely on others to do the right thing by me. I've got to look out for myself in life. That's pretty much it. It's not some crazy, dramatic story with car accidents or unexpected pregnancies or anything like that. But I've never been more grateful to have a roof over my head and a bed to come back to. I'm going to keep moving forward, keep working on my life, and I'm definitely taking a break from dating for now. That's all I can do.